good, typical Nova Scotia morning, everybody. We're here at Astral Drive Elementary this morning to talk about an important subject, school food. I'm here with Melody Pentland, our NDP candidate in Dartmouth Cole Harbour, and Jerome Lagmay, our NDP candidate in Cole Harbour, and with Seana Jewer, who has extensive background and interest in this subject, which is rooted further in the fact that she has two children in Astral Drive Elementary. So we know, Seana, that 1 in 6 kids in our country live in a home where the income situation makes it so that there's not always enough food to eat. So could you speak to this whole issue of how that affects kids' learning, kids' ability to be present and function as they need to in the course of the school day?
Sure, yeah. Well, food security is such an important piece, right? And children just have no choice in the situation that they're brought up into. And when they're in school and they're hungry, then it affects their behaviors. It's hard to concentrate, and then it's almost impossible to learn in that state. So we're dealing more with the behaviors of the children and not really focused on their learning. So when they're able to have full stomachs, then they're much better able to be prepared for the day and to get focused.
Yeah, and you've got quite a background in thinking about where kids are and how they're feeling through the day, and with all of this, maybe I could get you to speak a little about that.
Sure. Yeah. Well, children, when they're acting out and misbehaving and not doing what they're supposed to, they're not always making the connection that I'm hungry, and they're not thinking about that. They rely on the people that care for them and our communities to support them. So when things are not going well for them, they're not saying, well, I'm really hungry and that's why I'm behaving this way. They're just acting out, and that's what we end up focusing on is those behaviors. So that's problematic for kids, right? And so when they're well fed and they're able to do what they need to do in the day, then they're happier, and that builds in their confidence. Because when children are hungry and they're not learning, then their confidence ends up going down as well. And then that leads to a whole other big slew of problems that happen for kids.
Yes, so and you've experienced this in your work with Boys and Girls Clubs and in the community in general.
Yes, yeah. I've been working with community for about 20 years now. So regardless of what aspect, you're working with community, food security is an issue. It affects our mental health, it affects our employment, it affects our education. So so when working with kids, I've been involved in breakfast programs and they're such a critical piece of the day, right? A lot of kids come to school really early. Parents have busy schedules sometimes. Sometimes kids are preparing themselves to get to school. Sometimes kids are not sleeping well at night and end up waking up really late in the morning and just trying to get to school on time. So breakfast programs are really important, and having food throughout the day is really important because kids are hungry when they're hungry, and you can't force people to eat when they're not feeling like it.
Well, look, that's it exactly. And so I want to register the commitment today that an NDP government will establish and implement a universal school food program serving one meal a day across the province, in the schools of the province, and that there will be a concentration in this program on locally sourced food, on nutritious food, and on culturally appropriate food.